Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Okay, So Hear Me Out podcast featuring your boy Bear and my co-host Big Circle. Needs no introduction.
What's happening, people?
What's happening?
When you're sitting there listening to something, you're like, man, this is great. I love it. Or this is weird. I think I love it. I want to hear more of it. And music.
What I've always liked hearing about music, man, and I've said this before, and I've heard other people say this before me and after me, you know, not even hearing what I've said or not even hearing what they've said either, is that music is a time machine.
Yeah.
Music is
the
time machine. It is the time machine. You're right, because they will open. It's like, and it's the same thing. You can say the same thing about food too, or smells. You know, it's a time machine because it will bring you back to a point in your life that you remembered. Like, okay, I think I've told you about this before. I had a conversation with the boy about this. A lot of things I have a conversation with him about.
That's good.
But I had a conversation, right? No doubt. But I had a conversation with the boy one day. We were listening to music, and he was like, he was saying the same thing, that he has a wide variety of tastes when it comes to music. Pause on R&B. Because he does,
we talked about that.
he does not like R&B music. Mainly because of the fact, I'm like, why do you not like R&B music so much? He said he just hates the subject matter. And I told him, I say, yeah, for now. He said, no, I'm never going to like R&B. I said, yeah, you're never going to like it for now. I said, and he was like, what makes you think I'm actually going to like it one day? I said, you're going to find a girl and she is going to get your nose wide open. And one day you're going to listen to this one song. And I don't know who the artist is going to be, but that song is going to pop up. You're not even going to try to listen to it. It's just going to maybe come on your Spotify one day, or maybe come on my Spotify, and you're just going to be like, oh, yes, because every lyric, every message, every syllable, every consonant, every vowel will remind you of her. And it's going to just bring out extra points of love and affection that you have for this girl. And then one day that girl is going to break your heart.
That's going to be another stack.
And that's going to be exactly.
That's a stack on the bottom. There's
going to be another category of R&B that you're going to be
Lenny Williams. That's the Lenny Williams stack.
She did me wrong. I love you. Can I have you back? Baby, please don't go. It's going to be the begging era.
There is a cycle.
And he just looked at me.
He's
and
like,
I'm just
no,
like,
it ain't. And I'm like.
He just looked at me. I'm just like, Cub, I'm just telling you, man. It happens. We've all been through it. I was like, I don't care who you talk to. You can talk to anybody. You can talk to your mama. You can talk to your grandparents. You can talk to your uncle. You can talk to your aunties. You can talk to anybody. Anybody who's, you know, at least 20 years older than you. You ask them, and they are going to tell you, yes. That's it. Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
I had a black period where I didn't really listen to much music. Somewhere between maybe 6th and 9th grade. I can't explain why. I didn't listen to a whole lot of it.
Okay.
And then I got to high school. And I was like, my brother was like, hey, man, you too cool. I said, look, we're going to start listening to this. You know, and you got to know these songs when they come up and all that. I was like, so he had me listening to things. I was like, yeah. Okay, that's cool. And then I got in it and I never got back out. But I can't explain why it was. At some point, I was like, I wasn't really listening. I mean, not much. It had this time where I wasn't eating donuts for like 3 or 4 years as a kid. I didn't want any. I was like, what is wrong with me? And then I got to high school, that changed too. You know, it might not even be the heartbreak thing. It might just be one day you hear something, you're like, man, that's actually good. Because when I was his age, I did not want to hear Anita Baker. I did not want to hear Luther Vandross. I'm still not the biggest Luther Vandross fan.
Yeah, that's sacrilege. No,
but I didn't want to hear it at all.
Oh my goodness!
I was like, I see that. I see that on Video Soul, and I'm like,
today.
I don't care what it is. That's too slow. It's too syrupy. And I think I was where Sid was. I didn't stay there.
Yeah, that's basically where he is.
But I was only there with those artists. But there was some other people. Man, Faith Evans' first album came out. Please, I was all over that. That was just a certain type. But to kind of condemn R&B altogether, he cut me to the quick. Yes, that's the way I should say that.
That's a good one. That's a good way to put it, man. Very legitimate way to put it. Cut me to the quick.
Cut me to the quick.
Yeah, man. I love music. Ain't nothing about it. Ain't nothing about it that I can actually hate. I just love the fact that it can bring me to another point. It can bring me out of a funk. It can pump me up to make me, get ready for like a workout, or, if you're about to play a sport or something, get you ready for, you're going to spend time with your girl, your SOS, your significant other, someone special. Shoot, man. I mean, music is that thing.
It's a godsend.
Exactly, man. It can calm you if you're feeling all upset and rageful or whatever like that. You put on something good, something slow. It can slow you down. It can, put on some lo-fi. You can use that to have as your background noise while you're trying to do some studying or whatever, or some reading. I mean, music is the antithesis of the mind, setting your mind in so many different ways. Shoot, I mean, God knew what he was doing whenever he gave us the talent to actually create music, just vocal music and instrumental music as well, because he made it a point that, hey, use this in worship because it'll help you focus. It'll bring you to a point.
These Psalms, you see David was on it.
I mean, look, come on,
he was putting out product, man. I was like, oh my gosh, how much more do we have to read?
Man,
this guy's in a great place. His pen is fire.
I'm telling you, dude.
Relax, sir.
His pen caught flames, girl.
Trying to get through the rest of this Bible, man. Can you let everybody else eat? But yeah, even back then, there's a greatness in it. I mean, there's bad stuff too, but we don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, no.
So I love it, man. Thank God for it.
Dude, you said something earlier whenever we were talking about music, when we brought up the Isley Brothers, you said, they're, legends. Not everybody's a legend. No, everybody want to talk about, not everybody's a legend. They just old. They just been in the business for a while.
Yes.
That kind of brought me back to a conversation I've listened to. I listen to Sports Talk, Pat McAfee, Dan Patrick, and love listening to those guys and all like that. All the Smoke, probably my favorite podcast outside of my own.
Let's keep things in perspective.
Just keep it in perspective.
Yes,
I mean, I ain't going front, a little bit of a bias, Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, love you guys, But anyway, I've always had this question about everybody feels like everybody is deserving of Hall of Fame status. I mean, you're not even 3 or 4 years into your career and people are already, talking about this person as a first ballot Hall of Famer or just a Hall of Famer, period. I'm just like, dude, come on. Everybody is it's almost getting to a point where it's participation trophy.
Yep.
You played in the NBA. You belong in the Hall of Fame. Oh, no. You played in the NFL. You belong in the Hall of Fame. You had 1,000-yard season in your first 3 years of your career. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory already. You scored maybe 29, 28 points per game for the first 2 or 3 years of your career. Hall of Fame written all over him. He's going to be first ballot. Yep. No doubt. Mm-hmm. I mean, man, some of these cats they be talking about putting in the Hall of Fame already before their careers are even halfway done. So overrated. There's one player, I'm not going to mention any names because I just don't want to put him out there like that, but there's one player that everybody's been screaming to put him in the Hall of Fame for years. And again,
which sport?
He's still playing basketball, still playing. And I'm like, this dude is so overrated, so much to the point that I don't like him.
East Coast or West Coast?
West Coast.
Oh, I got a couple over there.
Yeah, I don't like the dude. But everybody talking about, first ballot Hall of Famer. Has no numbers. No numbers. Granted, he's been on some championship teams, and he's been kind of key with the small time things, big time rebounds, maybe clutch shots, or something of that nature. Everybody want to put him in the Hall of Fame. He ain't Hall of Fame worthy. Not Hall of Fame worthy. Why are y'all talking about putting in on top of, like I said, not even, I ain't got no numbers, number one. And number two, it ain't even close to being done yet. Well, it might be a little bit closer now, but still, when all this was even popping off in the beginning, he wasn't even halfway through his career. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Why is everybody so worthy of a Hall of Fame? You can't mention the person without saying, they have to be Hall of Fame worthy. The only people I would listen to are the peers. I might listen to their peers if the peers say they're deserving to be Hall of Fame because they know what they went through. But for the majority of these people who haven't played the game, and I'm not sitting here acting like, I know better, even though I haven't played the game.
You can see, though.
I can still see.
Yeah.
The eye test don't lie.
Yeah.
Eye test don't lie.
Oh, man.
Especially when every other conversation you've had in the past, this person isn't worthy of the Hall of Fame. He doesn't have the numbers. This dude has 5 times the numbers than this guy that you already been trying to implant into the Hall of Fame, who's still basically got Similac on his breath in regards to how long he's been playing in the league. So come on, man. And, this is just my rant. I digress. But it's just something I just had to get off my chest after you said that. I was just like, it's so irritating.
Yeah, well, good doesn't mean genius.
No.
I mean, so, I'm really good at this and I'm better than average. That doesn't mean genius. And that doesn't mean Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame should be just that. There should be some hurt feelings outside in the parking lot when you got the Hall of Fame going. He's like, dog, I think I should be there. I am in this space. I'm better than average, and I think I should be there. And there should be, when it's done right, there should be a gatekeeper that says you're not worthy.
Yeah.
I mean, and it should be okay. If you play, let's stick with the NBA. You play 15 years.
Okay.
And you do well. You have impact. You play well. You play a lot. You play your whole career. You play 25 plus minutes out of 48 minutes or 30 minutes. You play a lot. And you're not Hall of Fame. I don't understand why that's a reason to hang your head. I get if you're saying I wanted that, I didn't get it. But oh my gosh, man, like there have been less than 5,500 people in the NBA since the NBA started. Less than 5,000 people have played since the NBA started in 40, 50 something. George Mikan was the guy, and he probably had, maybe 10 teams, maybe 8 teams. 5,000 people. How many humans have been here and gone since then? 15 million? It's 8 million now. So you figure live and die, maybe 10 million people since then? 10 billion, I'm sorry.
Billion, yeah.
10 billion people. And you are one of the 5,000 people that made it. And you are sitting outside crying into your Gatorade because you don't make it to the Hall of Fame. And then and then people say, well, that guy, we got to put him in there because maybe that guy is a big social media person. Or maybe that guy is a big antagonist. Or maybe he shoots 40 times, therefore he scores, therefore he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's not a good shooter, not a good player. Good scorer, but he's not a good player, so he shouldn't be there. And I think same thing in music. There are people that are being considered first ballot Hall of Famers, so to speak, in music. And I'm like, there's no way. Look at his sales. Look at her sales. I'm like, I don't see it. I'm a genius. Why? Because I make beats and people like them. So, yeah, you're not a genius. You're just good at making beats. At some point, you're supposed to be good at this, but to be exceptional, I think that should be a different class. So,
no, I fully agree.
I mean, I won Mr. Marshall High School in high school. What does that mean? They voted for me for that. That don't mean I'm the most popular guy, the nicest guy, the smartest guy, the best athlete, or anything else. It's just like, all right, you get to have that because
reasons.
That doesn't mean anything. Well, that means, I should have a trophy on one of the best students to come out of Marshall High School ever. That ain't what that means. So
let's get a parade for you.
Look, man, everybody needs to relax. Everybody ain't no genius.
Nah.
They're just not. And genius is reserved. That's a small room, and it forever needs to be a small room.
Absolute.
With entrance coming ever so often.
Absolute.
I'm not sure I'm a genius at anything, and I ain't losing any sleep about that. I'm good at some things for sure. Maybe great. I don't know if I'm a genius or hardly.
It's like I said in the last episode about, ignorance. We're going to be ignorant about something.
Right. Just don't be ignorant.
Yeah. Just don't be ignorant.
You can be ignorant, Doc. Don't be ignorant. We can't stand them. Right, please don't be that.
Right. There's a difference between being ignorant and being stupid.
Yes. There's Merriam-Webster. The Merriam-Webster is ignorant. You can be that. Let's work on that.
All right. Ignorant. That's a whole nother definition.
You don't get a jacket, bro. You can't hang out. We can't have a beer.
We can't. No. I can't bring you around.
Please don't be that.
I can't take you outside.
We have plenty of that. We're all stocked up. Don't sell that here. Please don't do it. Yes, I thought about that after we partied. So I said, man,
It's funny. I thought about that too.
I was like, yeah, that's okay. But that other thing, his cousin is not okay. His evil cousin, Ignorant, is not okay.
Oh,
yeah, man. Please don't.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Relax, everybody.
Please relax. Please do something about that. Like I said, not everybody's worthy of the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. Like I said, you let some of these people on these radio shows and they and you know what? They got their platform. They can say what they want to say, do what they want to do. Man, more power to you. I ain't mad at you in any way, shape, form, or fashion because I've got my own platform, CO, same. You know, we got a mic.
Sure.
Not everybody does. So we got an opportunity. We can say what we want to say. And I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm tired of it.
We the People's Podcast, baby. But
we the people.
I've had quite enough, I will say that.
I have too. Want something to drink?
Thank you, sir.
You're
Gotta stay hydrated, brother.
Yes, sir. You know it. And what you want to speak on today, my brother?
And I got smoke for whatever.
Let's talk about apologizing.
Okay.
One of the things that irritates me about people when they apologize.
You just gonna get right to it?
Let's just get right to it.
All right.
When we talk about apologizing, one of the first things they want to say is forgive and forget.
Yeah.
When I don't know about you, but I have yet to forget what the stove did to me. I mean, I forgive it because it was actually my fault because I'm the one who touched the fire, but I ain't forget. Hey, see, and that's the thing right there. People always want to say, oh, forgive and forget. I'm not going to forget what burned me because if that's the case, I never learned my lesson. So yes, you forgive people, but you forgive them only when they change their demeanor, when they change their attitude, when they make the right changes. It's something I've been telling my son all the time. And I've told him this even recently. Well, I say recently, it was sometime within this year. It's only been like maybe 3 or 4 months ago. He did something and I'm like, and he apologized and everything. And I told him, I said, well, you know what I feel about apologies. He said, yeah, they're not worth anything until you change your behavior. I said, there you go. So once I see change behavior and some consistency behind it, I will accept your apology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he already knows this now. 14 years old. I think I'm doing my job pretty well. I'm happy about that. So being the fact that he knows this and when he apologized and I've seen change behavior. I've seen consistency behind that change behavior too. So I had him on a punishment. And once I saw, like I said, the consistency, I saw the change and I saw the consistency behind it. You know, I decided to go ahead and, you know, relinquish that punishment, you know, lift the punishment off of him. But the thing is, one of the things though, and you have to know why you're apologizing. You can't just say, I apologize. What are you apologizing for?
Why, Joker?
What are you apologizing for? I don't know.
Really?
You were mad about something.
Oh.
Well, you're right on that.
Care to elaborate?
Yeah. What is it that you did that made me upset? No. What made me upset? What made me upset to the point that you need to apologize? So when you can't do that, what's the whole point of the apology in the first place?
You know, you would think that would be really simple, but it's astonishing to me. That's the word. It's astonishing that people will just be like, well, I'm sorry. What? You know, they can't
articulate.
They can't really get it out. I think they can articulate it, but I think it's in their head. And they're like, well, I ain't going to say it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Oh my goodness. That's
I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to apologize. And why are you doing that? And the thing I thought about when I saw this was you can't apologize just to keep the peace. That's the other thing I don't like. Oh, there with forgive and forget. I got a problem with that too. I'm going to be quick because I'm going to be mindful of time, but
you're good.
I want to be succinct for the people. Forgive and forget. I ain't forgetting anything. I'm not committed to forget anything. I can't forgive. But if I remember, I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on what you did, it's going to be unforgettable. Like, whatever you did is like, wow, that was a biggie. I ain't forgot. But, well, I'm just going to apologize, keep the peace. I think I was one of those guys that said that when I was younger. Like, I apologize, keep the peace.
I did.
Particularly if you're in something romantic. You're like, yo, man, I'm just going to say what I got to say. Because I don't really want to deal with the plus and minus going on right there.
Right.
The emotionally mature place and is to say, well, I'm apologizing for the infraction, whatever I did wrong. Mm-hmm. When we could talk about, there's something else later on that goes with that, but you ought to be able to articulate that and say, I'm apologizing for that.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe you should apologize, you stand on that.
Yeah.
I have a problem with a couple of people who were that. I'm going to say the names if I can remember, but they were in music, 50 Cent and Snoop at one point, both. I heard them say, what's the point in apologizing? You did what you did. You know, you meant what you did, so you shouldn't apologize ever. I was like, wow. Well, the apology is an acknowledgement. For me, I'm a little looser on the apologies. You could apologize. I'll take it. If you are flagrant fouling all the time, I don't want no apologies. At some point, you're going to hit, well, for me in basketball, you flagrant foul me, you might get one or two. The next one, you're going to get flagrant back. And it might not be within the rules. But You know, because
catch these hands all together.
Yeah, because on one hand, nobody's perfect. So therefore, you're going to have stuff to apologize for. Before the change behavior happens, the screw up has to happen.
Right.
The question is, are you a career screw up? Whether it's in a relationship, you're with somebody, and that person is a career screw up, and they got a lot of romantic felonies and all this. You're like, look, man, I don't want to hear an apology. I want you to quit. I need you to stop. And the same thing with you. You got to be thinking like, man, I am a menace. So I need to stop doing this to this person or to these people or in this space. I'm messing up, whether it's at work, whether it's in your walk with God, or whether it's, you're playing sports, whatever it is you're doing, or whether it is, your parenting. You're screwing up. Your kid is doing what they say because your kid is scared of you and they stay with you, and legally they got to do that. Mm-hmm. And like, all right, I got it. But maybe you're doing the wrong thing. And you got to change that. And you need to have a posture in which you say, I've got to do better. So therefore there's an atonement kind of thing. And an apology is kind of a secular atonement, right? It's you saying, acknowledge that I could have done that better. I acknowledge that I will do that better. Mm-hmm. I acknowledge that, that wasn't the right way. I could see that. And hey, if I could take it back, I would, but I can't. But I can let you know. That's what I want to do. And I think that if that's the reasoning, it can't be just because I've been told to apologize.
Yeah.
And I know people who over-apologize. I'm sorry. I say, hey, man, if you say you're sorry one more time around me, it makes me think that you're uncomfortable around me. I'm sorry about that. No, calm down. I'm not Darth Vader. That's my thing on that.
That's legit, though. That's definitely legit. But, one of the things, too, is you also have to start with, it's what you're saying, though. You got to take the accountability.
Right.
That you did screw up.
You did.
And you did something that hurt an individual, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, romantically, spiritually. You hurt somebody in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So you want to acknowledge that. It's not saying that you're making yourself less than an individual. You're just acknowledging the fact that, you know what, you were right. I screwed up on that point. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to make sure that I don't do it again. So I'm going to hold myself accountable. And by me apologizing to you, by starting off with saying, I'm sorry, I'm allowing you to hold me accountable too.
Yep.
So you're going to be my accountability partner on this, because I've acknowledged that, you let me know that I messed up. I acknowledge that you were right, that I did mess up. And because of our relationship, whether it be friendship, platonic relationship, family member, or whatever, what have you, church member, coworker, whatever, because of our relationship, I want to salvage whatever we have and make sure that we move forward on good terms. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you coming to me. I recognize what I did. I apologize. And even if you don't even fully understand what you did wrong, be like, I'm sorry, that I made you feel this way. What is it that I did? What is it that I did to make you, I don't know. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. But anyway.
If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, but what is it that I did that made you feel this way? Because I need to learn. Because I've been doing this all my life to other people and nobody said anything.
I thought I was okay.
Yeah, I thought I was okay. I thought I'm good.
Set me straight.
So, I mean, like say, for instance, okay, we grew up in the era where it was pretty much cool to slap a woman on her booty.
Yeah.
No matter what. No matter where you were.
All right, I'm back. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. No matter where you were.
Yeah.
We grew up in the point that it was okay to slap a girl on the butt just because we thought she was fine. That was our way of saying, you fine. But you got to understand that was the time that was a sign of the times. It's not like
slapping behind you, popping, bro.
Yeah, but at the same time, we ain't doing that.
It's criminal behavior.
Exactly, it's criminal behavior.
I mean, back then
and now, it's criminal behavior.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But we grew up in the era where it wasn't frowned upon. It was basically okay to do that. When it's not okay to do that. So, like I said, let's say we grew up in that era, and you go around and you find somebody, you see somebody on the streets. Of course, you and I, we would be single in this scenario.
Yes, long time ago.
Long time ago. Slap somebody on the butt, and this girl now is offended. What you offended for? It's something I've been doing all my life. What's the? I'm sorry that you're offended. I mean, my bad. But can you help me out here? Tell me what I did wrong. And she tells you, I feel fully insulted. I feel, disrespected. I feel violated that you did this, that you slapped me on my butt. Shoot, okay, well, I didn't look at it that way, and she explains to you why you shouldn't be acting in this way. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I didn't realize. Man, we can even go take it to a racism type thing. Somebody a white call me a monkey or call me boy or whatever like that. Not even trying to say it in a demeaning way, but, just like laughing and kind of like, boy, you acting like a boy. Look at you, boy, over there acting like a monkey.
Man.
And I'm
it's
like,
demeaning.
I'm like, brother, I'm like, homie, we need to talk. Break it down to him like, man, don't you ever call me a monkey. Don't you ever call me a boy. Look, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I mean, I just said it. It's no big deal. He apologized. He said, I'm sorry. I didn't know, man. But let me know. I mean, it's no big deal, right? I didn't know that would offend you or anything. And I explained to him why it's offensive. Now, granted, I'm saying this as if this is a what if scenario. This actually happened to me once. And this was years ago, about 15, 20 years ago, this happened. And I explained to him why you don't call a black man or a black person a monkey or call them boy, especially when you put that B-O-I on it, boy, And when I explained it to him like that, and I broke it down to him, he was like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. And he didn't have any idea. He didn't know. And ever since then, he's never used that terminology towards me or towards anybody else that I've seen, of color. So it's cool. I haven't forgotten it.
But I did forgive him?
I did forgive. But I forgot. I forgave him. I didn't forget. No, I can't forget that because this is one of those things like, hey,
it's heavy.
It's heavy. And on top of that, too, what's to say it actually slipped in front of him again? Be like, hey, man, we talked about this.
Right.
And he'll be like, you sure right. My bad. Because it's not something that's just going to happen overnight. He's just going to stop. I mean, he's been using that terminology for at least about 20 to 30 years at that time period.
I stopped, bro.
Huh?
I need him to stop.
Oh, he stopped?
Overnight.
Some things you can't do overnight, man.
I tell you what, I had that happen to me too, and that was a fight. I fought that guy on site. I ain't even a fight on site kind of guy. Well, I am, but I'm not. We playing ball. He said it in a way that made me think.
Oh, he was trying to get you.
Mm-hmm.
This dude wasn't. The guy I was talking about.
Well, after we got done, the guy said, and I quote, "What's your problem, man?" I think he was really surprised. But when I let him know I had a problem with it, he didn't say, "What's your problem, man?" Then he knew. Mm-hmm. He got beat up.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "What's your problem, man?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm thinking it now. I wasn't thinking it then, but I'm thinking that should have been the first thing you led with, like, "Hey, man, hands up."
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
When I let him know that was an issue, he stood on it. It was kind of like, I don't remember what he said, but it's kind of like, yeah, ain't. That's the last thing he said.
See, that's the exact opposite of my guy. My guy put hands up like, yo, man, I didn't, what's going on?
It could have been he was just like your guy. Mm-hmm. It could have been that because he could have been like, yeah, and because we were playing ball. I think he might have been thinking, man, I'm being aggressive because his team was beating us at the time. So he's thinking I'm upset. So I'm going to fight about that. I ain't never done that.
Right.
Even, no matter how you beat me, I'm going to shake your hand after the game. I'm cool. I mean, I'm not cool, but.
Game is a game.
Yeah, but
the game is a game.
I had to tune him up. Mm-hmm. I didn't, and I don't say that in a bravado kind of space. That's what happened. I mean, you got a 50-50 chance you get beat up or he get beat up.
Yeah.
And in that time, I was pretty upset. So, but no, I wasn't there doing I didn't have any rationality for that. I don't think I have a whole lot for it now. But I take your point. Mm-hmm. But in a space where you are being offensive, you should have a posture where you want to make amends. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. That's a fact. But you got to take, it's one of those things, man. That was such a great side-by-side comparison because you got one person who did not want to take responsibility for his actions, and it cost him. He got his butt whooped. And then you have another person who did take responsibility for his actions. Because that's one of the things about an apology. You got to take responsibility for what you said and what you did that you're apologizing for. Because again, if you're apologizing because, once again, you hurt somebody in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And
there's some harm there.
Yeah, you did some type of harm in some kind of way. Because you're not going to apologize for making somebody feel good. You're not going to apologize for, for providing somebody a gift or a good of any kind. No, you're apologizing because you took from them in some type of way. You harmed them in some type of way. So you got to take responsibility for that. And like I said, that side-by-side comparison came out just so perfectly. Wow. One guy did and the other guy didn't. For the exact same type of scenario, too. Using terminology that was degrading.
We got to take into account that maybe I'm wrong for what I did. How I handled it, it might have been the wrong way.
Right. And how you handled it was the wrong way. Being instantly aggressive.
Yeah. We got a problem because I ain't apologized to him yet. Actually, I didn't know that guy.
Is that a guy like just at the park?
We were either in 24-hour fitness or the Y.
Okay.
And, I'm not.
One time, no. You seen him once and never seen him again.
I ain't seen him again.
Yeah.
But if I had the opportunity, I wouldn't apologize for that. I think he did something that was so severe that it does not warrant an apology. I cannot go around beating up everybody and fighting everybody that does that.
Right. Getting too old for that anyway.
But what and even at that time, I was grown when that happened. I was college age or a little bit older.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I cannot, in good faith, sit there and let people be who they want to be if they're going to be racist. I have all the smoke for that because, and maybe we'll do a show on that, but I always think my ancestors are watching. And they're asking, what are you doing with the space that you have out here? The things that we did and we've laid out here best we can, what are you going to do? And I don't think they're asking me to fight, but I do think they're asking me,
what are you going to stand for?
Are you leaning back every time? And I don't have a good handle on just leaning back on all those things. And you know me for a while.
Right.
I'm not running around here popping off at people.
No.
But that situation,
I know.
Man, that didn't go well. So if I did handle it wrong, I got a problem because I don't have an atoning posture for that. I see him again. He does that again. I'm going to ask you to pause. I'm like, we'll be back in the studio. I'll be back. Right? Like, I think at some point there has to be smoke.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a commercial break.
The views by Big Circle are his and his only, and it doesn't represent the views of this network. Look, I mean, but again, that's okay. So hear me out, right? That's what it is. It's like intelligence is it's not, I am one track and I have this one thing and that's who I am, right? It's not that. Intelligence, as I've seen it, is these 2 to 5 to 6 to 7 things going around and you're grappling with it. So I grapple with that. Even though I'm honest about where my disposition was, I still grapple with that. Like, is that the right thing?
Right.
We get older, 7 years from now, we hear this. It's like, man, I was completely wrong about that. Or I tell you, I said, boy, I was right. Because I still feel the same. And then I'm 70, or I'm 80, or I'm 90, I'm 100. And I'm like, you're way back. I'm shaking my cane at you, in 2000, blah, blah, blah. And it's that. I think though, to do it right, you got to grapple with things. And that would be something I'd welcome the extra thought. But anyway, let's move on.
No, I feel you on that. I understand that. I'm the opposite. I do have, not gonna lie, I do have my violent tendencies. I've had my drop the book moment, drop the bag moment, and be like, okay, let's do this. Swipe my nose real quick and pop my knuckles, and I'm ready to roll. And we're gonna throw down. I'm gonna throw hands. I've been known to do that a few times before. Now, at the age that I am now, and over the past, I'll probably say over the past 15 years or so, a little bit more than 15 years now, about 20 years now, I've been more of a walk away person. At first, I would just walk away without saying anything. Now I'm at a point where I can just let you be in yours, tell you where you fell, tell you how much I hope you get better, hope you heal, hope you go to therapy, you find clarity in your way, and I'm just going to walk away. Now, if you start throwing hands, I'm not Jesus Christ. I'm not turning the other cheek.
I'm out of options. Yeah,
I'm not turning the other cheek. I'm sorry. I'm tossing my hands right back at you. I'm pretty confident in my hands too. I'll be honest with you on that. So if you throw hands, I'm going to make sure that I'm gonna make sure you're going to be stopped. But before then, though, you can say what you want to say. Words don't bother me like that anymore because it just basically shows your stupidity. Me arguing back with you just makes me look like I'm just as dumb as you are. And the last thing I'm going to do is let everybody else in the room think that there are 2 idiots in the room. There's only one idiot.
It's you.
It's you. And like I said, I might even smile at you. I'm going to shake my head and I'm going to turn around and I'm going to walk off and I'm just going to say, I hope you heal. I'm going to pray for you and keep it moving, keep it grooving. Because like I said, there's no way that you can talk me into a fight. There is no way that you can talk me into a fight. If you reach at my people, then if you reach at my people, we got a problem.
Well,
we got a problem. But other than that, yeah, you can't talk me into a confrontation. You can't speak a confrontation out of me. So that means any kind of name calling, any words that you drop, no matter what the explicitives are, you can drop a on me. I'm just going to look at you and be like, wow, 2025 and you still using it, huh? That's still the best you can do, huh? Because I mean that word has no power on me whatsoever.
I'm gonna fire off on you, bro.
Yeah. I feel you. I get it.
That word.
I grew up in an era and in an area that was thick with racism.
Me too.
And I know you did, Marshall.
But I heard about y'all.
Yeah, I mean, we were like
in Marshall. I heard about y'all.
Yeah, we were like 5 minutes from Vidor, man, and they had KKK all around there all the time.
I got a Vidor story, by the way, when we got some time. No, I want to hear what you got to say, but I got one. It's a short one. But
yeah,
I need to hear what you got to say. Make your point though.
But yeah, so I mean, I've been victim of it. I've lived it. I've seen it. Not nearly as much as our ancestors have, or even our parents or our parents' parents and everything of that nature. That's fine. But I did experience my own encounters with racism, with being called the N-word, and things of that nature. Again, it does not bother me in any way, shape, form, or fashion when somebody might drop words like that on me. So, and like I said, at the age that I am now, dude, I don't care. I don't care. Like I said, that just shows your stupidity. That just shows the least amount of intelligence on your side, than it does on my side. Because it just shows me that I don't see myself as above anybody else. But when you use language like that, then that just shows me that I am above you.
I remember when I was 7, we were, I guess we were painting the inside of the church. It was 2 of my friends and my dad, who's a deacon at the church, and another guy who's a deacon in the church. Mm-hmm. And, we're kids, we're young, we want to go do something else. So we're probably complaining a lot. Right. And there's a 7-Eleven down the street. So 7-Eleven has Slurpees. So, Hey, sign me up. We go down there and get whatever we get. And he said, look, we got to get back to it and get your guys these snacks. We already had lunch. So we go get that and we leave and walk out. And there's this truck to the left. And there was this kid and his sister on the back of the truck. His parents were in the store. I guess they're paying for that stuff after us. And he called us. And I guess, was I 7? I was in 2nd grade. I remember being in 2nd grade.
Okay.
And I remember hearing that. I remember seeing him do that. I was walking out. I saw his face. And I knew that wasn't a good word to say. I didn't know the depth of it because I didn't know the history that I knew now. I knew that if you heard that was a problem. Probably my parents told me, if you hear that, that's a danger thing. Let us know, or whatever they said.
Right.
They didn't say fight. They never said that. They just said, so because they never said fight with words. I made that up on my own.
Right.
I just decided that's what it was going to be. But I'm walking, and I remember, my 2 friends, we're still walking, and one of the older ones that was older than me, he must have been in 4th grade, he stopped, and my dad stopped, and me and my other friend who was younger, we kept going. And my dad stopped, so I grabbed my dad by the arm. I said, come on. But when I grabbed him, it felt like his arm was like a 2x4 or a 2x6.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't move. So Dad, I remember saying, Daddy, come on. And I remember it sounded like a little kid trying to move this, the 6'3" guy.
Yeah. And
he would not move for, I don't know, it felt like forever to me. And he wouldn't move, and he was looking directly at that kid, and the kid kind of shrunk down. And his parents came out, and I think my dad looked at them, and that guy looked at him like, and what? Because maybe he figured his kid already said something, so what's the problem? You're black,
right. Stay
in your place.
Right.
And I finally got my dad to go, and we walked back to the church, and he didn't say anything. He was upset, and he doesn't remember that, but I do. I said, how can you forget that? He said, man, I've seen so much stuff.
Collective amnesia.
It probably just made me upset, and I forgot. He said, but I don't remember that happening at all. I said, I very vividly remember that. And I remember thinking, well, maybe I should just pull that kid off the back of the truck and fight. Even though I'm not a fighter, now I'll fight you, and I'll give you a fair one.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fighter. Like, you just run around brawling all the time. But I remember thinking, you're saying something crazy. Maybe I should do that. And not long after that, I remember hearing a guy saying that in William B. Travis, 2nd grade. 2 of my high school classmates. So if you went to high school with me and you want to know, I'll tell it who these guys are. And I remember him saying that there. And I remember the prominent place they held later on in life. And I always thought about that. But yeah, it's just a weird thing. But that thing is a verb. When I hear that, that's how I see that. And when you say it now, you mean that. Just like if someone points to you and say DEI.
Yeah.
I think that means more than that.
Yeah.
I think it means something else. And I treat it as such. And people get real stiff. And I'm like, well, I understand you're uncomfortable, but I understand how I feel. I think you're lobbing that at me. And I got a problem. But anyway, stay on point.
Oh, I got you, man. Yeah, like I said, I've had my encounters too, but
yeah, man, it's not something you're supposed to experience.
Nah.
That's not about hey, do this. That here's another phrase I don't like. Maybe you do. That what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm not into that.
Going back to our comparison with our encounters,
mm-hmm.
Focus on the impact of your actions, not the intent.
Right.
See, the guy that you had that confrontation with, whenever he spoke out of line of you, he was like, "What? Like I didn't mean nothing. That shouldn't have meant anything. It was just whatever." My guy, he focused on the impact, not the intent. He had his intentions was like, "What, dude? We just gaming.
What's your issue?
What's your issue?
Yeah."
What's your issue? What's the big deal? And I explained it to him, and he realized the impact of the word that he called me. And he was just like, oh, well, I need to change that. And he did.
Mm-hmm.
He apologized. He took responsibility for it, apologized, and he made changes that he needed. He did can't even speak. He did the things that was needed to make the proper change, to be better, to do better, to make sure that he doesn't make that mistake, not only with me, but with anybody else going forward.
Right.
So I just like the fact that you just want to make sure that you focus on the impact of your actions or your words, and not the intent of your actions or your words.
Sure.
Because everybody's talking about, oh, well, I meant good whenever I did it. Yeah, well, just because you had good intentions doesn't mean that it wasn't.
That was bad impact.
It was a bad impact.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad impact.
Right.
I mean, again, we are Christian men here, so there's a lot of examples I always pull from the Bible. David and Uzzah, good intentions. They won their battle. They were able to get the Ark of the Covenant back, and they're taking it back. David said, load it on the cart with the oxen.
Mm-hmm.
Oxen were carrying it back, or bringing it back, and hit a rock or something or whatever, a bump in the road, and the Ark started to fall off. Uzzah didn't want the Ark to get damaged, so he reached out for it to grab it. And before he can even touch it, pop!
I don't know.
Guy struck him down. David was like, why?
Bro!
What even, man? I mean, come on. We just got this thing back. This is yours. I'm trying to take it back home. And why did you strike him down? We're just bringing it back. And God said, I mean, you might have had all the good intentions in the world, but you're still disobeying me. You're supposed to have, what is it? Levites, 6 Levites or something like that. A certain amount of Levites are supposed to be carrying it. You got these rings, and you have to put rods through rings.
Yeah.
And men were supposed to carry it. Because I want to say it's Levites. I can't remember off the top of my head. A certain number of them too. I think it was like either 2 on each end, on each corner, or something of that nature, or 4 total something. Anyway, but there's not supposed to be on the cart to be carried. It's supposed to be rods through these rings, and these certain type of men are supposed to carry it. That's how you transfer the ark. That's how you transport the ark, not by loading it on a cart. You got good intentions. Your intentions are wrong.
It's a hefty price to pay.
Right. So you can have all the good intentions in the world. Doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean you're good. Doesn't mean you're doing good. Doesn't mean what you're doing is not harmful in some way, shape, form, or fashion, or impactful in some way, shape, form, or fashion. There's consequences to these things.
You have to get back in a tranquil space.
Yeah.
And you're out of that, and you need to acknowledge that. If, for example, if you go out and or however you do what you do, you become intoxicated, you drive. If you hit someone, you cause harm. The intent matters very little after that point. I
was just trying to drive home. I didn't mean to run over somebody.
And what's going to be said, and then the actions and things that happen to you after that are going to show that no one cares about your intent.
Nope.
There was a harm induced, and we got a problem. And that's the same thing with this. You may, when you say about the impact, you may not have intended to do what's happening. But that doesn't really shorten the way home. The way home is to acknowledge, one, that there's impact, and then it'll help you figure out how to say what you need to say or do what you need to do. So for me, it's kind of that thinking. You're like, well, that's heavy and that's harsh. That's true. This isn't a comfortable thing, right? It's not supposed to be comfortable.
No.
You've got to acknowledge and then do something about what you acknowledge. And that impact makes a difference. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll stop right there.
Take the steps to make amends. Because it's beyond just apologizing for the actions or the words, but it's something I mentioned earlier. You want to make sure that you keep your relationship on the up and up. You want to make sure that you're able to make sure that you're not accidentally burning a bridge, because depending on how harsh your actions are, you can burn that bridge and never be able to put it back together again, because you can't put ashes back together. That's the reason why the term is burning the bridge and not breaking the bridge. Breaking the bridge, you could probably just rebuild it, put it back together again with the same pieces. When you burn the bridge, that's it. It's over. It's done. It's finito. So you want to take amends. You want to take the steps to make sure that you make amends with that individual that you harmed, that you kind of maybe in a way might have lost trust in. So they might have lost trust in you at least. So you want to make sure that you focus on not only just apologizing, but again, it goes to the point of being accountable for what you did, because accountability is not only the first step of having a meaningful apology, but it's also the first step of making sure that you're able to sustain whatever relationship you have with that individual, if that makes sense.
I had a friend once, certainly needed to apologize for for the action. Right. That wasn't even the conversation we were having. So time passes by, and what this person said they did was went up to the other person, leaned over, cocked their head to the side and said, "Good?" And the other person looked at him like, and kind of squinted their eyes. And, he was like, I mean, she had a problem with that. I was like, yep. So what you mean? He was like, I said, man, what do you mean? You go and say, you good? So you skipping steps.
Yeah.
Said, come on, man. You need to have a conversation. And this can be a 15 to 30 second conversation. Sometimes people really just want you to say, hey, I want to see you step across that line and be in the make amends mode. That's all. They don't want you to kowtow. They don't want you to, step and fetch it. They want to see that you making that step towards them. Now, I don't believe in kissing the ring, and I don't believe in that.
Right.
But he said, "You good?" I said, you drove across Houston traffic to go do that. and he just looking at me like, man, look, I'm not perfect. I said, that's the whole point.
Right.
How are you going to make amends? You know this person. What do they want? I screw up at home. I don't need to bring home flowers. That lady don't want that. Right. And it ain't because it's bad. It's because I know that's not an avenue to make amends with this person. Are you paying any attention? Because if you are, you know what they need. Or you could be trying for that. These artificial things where you kind of stab at the making amends, that doesn't do anything. And you'll see them in their face. They're like, wow, I don't know if I want to say anything to you because I'm already upset. I don't want to get back at you and keep going. Make the amends, man. Make the effort. Try. People can see you try. Body language, verbal language, change behavior, all these things that's happened since the thing that you did where you screwed up.
Consistency.
Be consistent now.
Yeah.
When you change, then be consistent. Because here's the other thing. You get that right, you're going to screw up something else. That's kind of how life is. All these cracked vessels sitting in this room and listening to this podcast, you're going to screw up again.
Yeah.
That's why the apology is so important. You cannot change the behavior that you're going to screw up in the future. It's unfortunate because you're not perfect, so therefore you will screw up. Man, with my kids, I try to, be in a place I said, well, you messed that up. And I get a kick out of this on a petty level. Sometimes they come to me like, all right, let me go into the courtroom and talk to the big guy about this thing that I did because the last 10 times I did something. He said, you should have come told me first. They tell me, I said, okay, man, this is what we're going to do. And we talk, and then I bang my non-existent gavel when they go away. And I can see looking on their face like, I didn't even get any charges. I don't have to go to jail. I didn't get anything. He just let me go in the parental court of law. I'm like, yeah, because I'm not here to try to make things rough and tumble. I don't get off on that. I despise parents who do, by the way. We can talk about that one day. Yeah. They just love, they do. They don't say it, but they love grinding their kids out. I don't see that. And I'm like, okay, this is a teachable moment, and that's another conversation. But the amends, you got to make that. And I will say, and when we have, I guess, a conversation that's more on the male-female dynamic, whatever topic we pick, I want to talk about that. But I will say, because I don't like generalizations. Men do this, women do that. I fight those. In fact, when we talk about that day, I'm going to be in the corner getting beat up, but I'm going to be swinging. Because I think generally we want the same things, male or female. Most of the same things, well, we're built differently. But at the end, we want the same things. And if you want amends, you got to show that. And if you show that, that's the first step, and you can figure it out the rest of the way.
Speaking back on a point that you made earlier, don't overdo the apology.
Oh, man.
I mean, you apologized for it. We spoke on it. We talked about, what to make how to make things better, how to move forward, and we move forward. When you see me again, don't apologize for the same thing again when you haven't done anything. We've already discussed on that. We've already discussed we're moving forward. We've already gotten to the point that we understand, okay, this is why you did it. This is why I was offended. This is the change. These are the changes that need to be made on your end and my end. And we're going to move forward with that and just call it a day. I don't need you to apologize every time you see me because of that. I don't need you to be like, even a couple of years later, hey, man, remember when I accidentally, that kind of like was remember when blah, blah, blah.
I don't want to go there.
Man, I'm sorry about that, man. I'm so glad that you forgave me for that, but man, I'm so sorry about that, dude. Why are you bringing that? Not only why are you bringing it up, I can understand why you might have brought it up again because it probably just fit the narrative of the situation today. However, why are you apologizing again, man? Because because now that brings the point that, like you said, now it makes me feel like two things. One, you feel like oh, you're not comfortable around me, even though we've already dealt with this. At least I thought we did. And two, how sincere were you with your apology if you feel like you need to keep apologizing again? Because are you low key still doing this thing? Are you doing it behind my back? Did you gaslight me into making me think that you were legit and altruistic?
Oh man.
So come on. I mean, this does not need to be repeated over and over again. Stop apologizing. If you were fully sincere with your apology, that one apology and that one discussion post-apology is enough.
Sure.
And that's it.
Right.
Because now you're just opening old wounds. The scab is already pretty much done. You just rip the scab right up and starting this thing all over again. Now I got to go find a new Band-Aid.
I don't want to revisit this.
I'm not trying to revisit this.
Right.
There's no need. The guy who called me, that monkey and boy.
I don't want to talk about that.
We've never talked about it again ever since. He knew where he stepped out of line and we spoke on it. He said he was working on it. From what I know, he's been doing a pretty darn good job as working on it because we haven't had any discussion about it again. We hadn't had to rehash it or anything. We haven't had a repeat offender type situation on this. And from what I know, he hasn't had any situations with anybody else in regards to that. Because if he did, I know this guy. He would have been like, yo, man, remember when I accidentally did this to you? I would have been like, oh my goodness, yes, dude. Why are you bringing that up? Well, because I accidentally did it again. And he would have told, and that would have been a fair reason to bring it back up because he's just like, man, what do I need to, because he probably would have brought it up to me like, what do I need to do to try to get myself better on this? He want to work on it. I know this guy. That's exactly how he works. So I would have been cool with him bringing that up to me again because he's been doing it to try to make himself better, to try to improve upon himself. Not to do it to the point that, oh man, remember when, when you get your Facebook notifications or Instagram notifications saying that, hey, this happened 5 years ago. You took this picture 5 years ago. Remember? Ha ha ha. Memory lane. Hashtag memory lane. That's not the type of thing that we're talking about. Please stop overdoing the apologies. Don't bring up the sore subject again. That's pointless. It's not bringing healing. It's bringing more harm than good. It's
a break in the chain.
Yeah.
And why are we doing that? Right? Why are we breaking the chain here? You don't want to overdo it. And if you don't mean it, you don't need to do it at all. So your second sub point, you don't do it at all. There are people out there, I suspect that, I know this. that do owe me an apology for things they've done. And I can get in contact with them, or I am in contact with them, and they refuse. And so, I got stuff to do. I'm a Christian. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I got jobs, plural. I'm not going to run around here and try to get something out of you that I don't even necessarily need to function. It would be better if I got it. But to make sure that you understand the process, overdoing it doesn't help in this.
Right.
And to that point, if you're the person receiving the apology, you need to be an interface with that.
Yeah.
So don't sit back and say, well, I need more. If they come to you, I guess the legal thing is contrite. If they come to you, you need to be in a posture where you accept or you say you don't. This isn't a thing where it's like, well, in a fortnight, I get pissed. I'm coming back with this again. Or, I'm going to hang this over your head. What is the point in all of that? So, and that's why sometimes I think people do overdo it because they want to make sure you don't ever come back and do that. So if you're okay, say you're okay. And if you're not, say you're not okay.
Yeah, there you go.
If I have told people, I don't accept your apology, the looks I've gotten when I've said that have never been pleasant. And some of the words that came after that certainly weren't. Because people are...
And that just proves your point on why you didn't accept their apology.
Well, or some people just get embarrassed and they're like, well, that's how I act out. Back to emotional immaturity. I can't believe you did that. It's how embarrassing. It's like when I hear people say, when I was younger, they say, man, my mom called me when I was in Walmart to come to the front. I was in the back. That's embarrassing. They called my name. Like, don't nobody know you in here.
Right.
Take your butt up there and go get some McDonald's. Y'all finna leave. But, it's like, yeah, but if your mama call you, it's embarrassing. I was like, but dude.
Don't nobody know you.
Don't nobody know you. It's not like you He-Man or something. Like, oh, man, But I always thought that was weird. I never had a problem with that. Now, my mom didn't have to call me because, she said, stick with me. Don't get left. And I always thought, I don't think she'll leave me. But I was like, but if I test her, will she leave me? And so I'm like, all right. So, there's that. But no, don't overdo it. And be in an accepting posture when you interface.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. You're right about that. The whole...
Because I see a lot of that.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, he apologized. Yeah, but
I want more. So who is this for?
You want more than an apology?
All you need is an apology. That's all you're owed.
Screwed up. He apologized. You don't believe it? I believe it, but I want more.
Okay, yeah, that's an ego thing. So, apologize. Know why you're apologizing. Start with saying, I'm sorry. Take responsibility for your apology. Focus on the impact of the actions that you're apologizing for and not the intent. Take the steps to make the right amends. Don't overdo it and ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, man, I got notes on this one too.
See, now this is a part that I kind of struggle with. I don't kind of struggle with. I definitely struggle with because I feel like I shouldn't have to ask you for forgiveness. And here's why. Because I'm going out of my way and making the apology. This is my screw up. So this is why I'm apologizing. It's my screw up. I'm taking accountability for my actions and the impact that those actions had on you. Whether you want to accept that apology or not, that's on you. If you want to accept, for me to ask for forgiveness is for me to basically I feel like I'm telling you that you need to forgive me. Like it's your duty to do so now. That's kind of how I see it. I'm not going to ask for forgiveness. I want you to take your time to process my apology and the actions and the impact that it made on you, because maybe what I said and what I did was harsh. And it's not something that I can say and then turn right back around and be like, yo, look, I apologize. I realized what I did was wrong, blah, 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 and go through a whole speech to try to make sure that it's rectified, even though this all happened within 2 minutes. You may need to fool around. I can't. You're still in a zone. You're still in an emotion. I'm asking for your forgiveness. Hold on. I'm still feeling some type of way by what you did and by what you said. And you're going to come to me and try to tell me to forgive you now? So, and I'm not saying that every situation warrants this mindset. And I'm not saying that there should be forgiveness eventually or even instantly. But I'm not going to say it's your duty. You need to forgive me.
Well, I think that's why you ask. And to that point, my thinking is the apology is the invitation to forgive. I kind of thought if it's contrite, that's that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why and that's my whole point. I don't want to ask for forgiveness because now, in my opinion now, it feels like I'm making it more about me.
No, I don't see that.
You don't see that?
I see
Okay.
that. I see the other part. I
Okay.
don't see that.
Okay.
You might be right, though.
Again, like
I've
I said,
never thought about it that way.
This is just my way of looking at it. Because, like, again, in the moment, I might ask you later on, hey, do you forgive me? After I've thought that you might have been able to, calm down, deflate your chest a little bit, But as of at the moment, I can't ask for forgiveness at the moment because I got to let you be you. Because I know I've been in times when I've been steaming about something. I don't want to hear you asking about forgiveness because this ain't about you. This is about me. This is about what you did to me. So the last thing I want now is for you to be thinking about, I need you to forgive me right now. No. I'm still feeling some type of way about what you did and what you said or what you said. For me to fool around in that, like I said, now it's like the gap, the apology didn't seem like it was true forgiveness, asking for forgiveness. It seemed like it was all about you. You're trying to gaslight me into or guide me into making you feel good. It's not about you feeling good. It's about us actually healing and doing better. But you're bringing the focus back on you. Again,
I think that's different.
Yeah, and I might be looking at it wrong.
I think that's different.
I might be looking at it wrong.
No,
this is my initial.
different.
This is my initial thoughts in view of it.
Look, I'm pissed. I'm not going to be irrational, but I'm upset.
Yeah.
Right. And if I have a right to be upset, if you've done something that rises to that level, and I say I want to be left alone, which means I don't want to hear about am I forgiving you or anything like that. What is best, I think, for the civility of the situation between us, is that you find your space and let me find mine. Now, if you, as a grown-up, drag this out over a time period that's unreasonable, then that is something I'm not willing to accept.
Right.
At some point.
And that goes back to your, I want more.
Right. I want more.
Right.
Right. And there are other things for you to be doing. That's not it. So grow up, grown up. But, the forgiveness piece, if it's just a function of time, I'm not willing to hear that right now. That's okay. But the proposition that I would like to, query and say, will you forgive me? I can put it out there now, or I can wait.
Yeah.
If it's a romantic thing and I got a friend, she gets mad, her eyes turn colors.
Ooh.
So if you see her eyes turning colors, she's not really ready to have a conversation about forgiveness for you. That is a tranquil space and she's not in it.
Right.
She is in a carnal space. She's upset. And she has a right to be upset.
Right.
She does not have a right to bust the windows out your car.
No.
Good song, not good action. But at the same place, you got to give a person space. I'm very, very upset with you. You didn't leave the toilet seat up. You did this.
Yeah.
So the proposition for asking for forgiveness, I think if it's a time thing, just wait. I don't think it's a thing where you're coming across as I've got to do this extra thing on top of the apology. I think if one of the topics, what was the topic where they said focus on was it the impact?
Yeah.
Was the
focus on the impact of
the steps to make amends.
Okay.
If that person, whether it's male or female, if that person would want to hear a request for forgiveness, you do that. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Now, if that person is like, look, apology is good and that's inherent, you do that. And what you need to do very quickly, especially if you're married, is find out which is which. Because it's not a happy wife, happy life. It's happy spouse, happy house.
Thank you.
Right? So you need to find out really quick.
Another podcast, another time.
That one is a 10-parter to discuss how people just screw that up on the surface. It's like, man. Goodness. But at least I bet we could do a day on that. We would be out at like Six Flags, sitting outside the gate with a mic, and we could talk about that during the whole day that Six Flags would be open, people walking in and out or something like that. We're on location at Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that. And you can just talk about that and never run out of stuff to say because it's so deep. But I think to finding a way to ask that, you need to make sure it's right. Don't leave off what the person is looking for as long as it's reasonable. Again, it's balance.
Yeah.
I am not going to lay out and look like I'm in my prayer closet to get you to come back around. I ain't never doing that.
Right.
I will be very, very humble and sorry and contrite about what I've done.
Right.
And you will know this.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it, but I'm not finna go and, say, well, all right, you did that. Now let me pull some of your masculinity out. Now you may not have that.
Yeah. I'm not going to grovel.
No, I'm not. In while acknowledging I'm wrong and expected to do better, I'm not.
Right.
But you got to do that. You can't be, well, she tripping. Let me go over here and try to fix this. Don't go over there, bro. Or whoever it is.
Yeah.
So I think it's that. I don't know. I think one of us. I think we're probably in agreement mostly on this one. But you have to follow through with the ask. You can't skip steps. And I think that's, if you want to be in a healthy space, I think that's just what you got to do, man.
Yeah.
You get points for doing that stuff, by the way, for people that like to get points.
True. Because
they'll remember, like, yeah, well, he did something. He actually did come and say, hey, try to make it right the best way I can.
Yeah.
I think forgiveness is a thing that is fleeting. But if culturally more people practiced it, I think it could be a peer pressure thing in a good way.
Yeah.
And people would just form these relationships, friend, romantic, at work, anywhere else where they're like,
you find stronger bonds.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it would be. I think people think asking for forgiveness and apology is showing
weak.
Yeah, it's showing weakness when I think it's not weakness, it's more of meekness.
It actually shows strength.
And I think
it shows a lot of strength because you have to acknowledge who you are and what you did.
Sure.
Take accountability. Taking accountability is
it's a grown and sexy thing.
Yes. It both words.
It is that.
And sexy.
It is that. Because
man, come on.
It's that.
Come on.
I ain't perfect, but let me let you know that I know I ain't perfect. And you let them know that. And then for all this, I'm a man. And a man, what does he do? He provides and protects. You hear all of that. You got these ashy posts online, dudes putting this up. They're not providing, they're not protecting, but they say these things.
Yes.
And when you would think about it, that's one of the ways you can protect. If we're on the romantic spot of this, a part of this, you protect by saying, whatever it is you need that I can do, I will do, including this, which is probably a hard thing for most people.
Yeah.
To apologize and to say, I want to do better and I acknowledge my wrong for the 1,000th time or the 100th time or the 10th time or the second time today. That's strong. And that is putting this circle around your significant other saying, man, if he'll do that, I believe he'll do much more than that.
Yeah.
But now some of us guys, my goodness.
That pride and that ego. No, trust me. Look, I know there are women out there because I've heard stories from guys and I've heard stories from women from talking about, man, that's my girlfriend, but that girl needs to straighten herself up because her ego and her pride is gonna mess up that relationship, and it's happened so many times where it's just an ego and pride thing that people just cannot apologize. And again, like you said, accountability, taking accountability for your actions. It's such a crazy turn on. I've heard so many people and spoken with so many people so many times. And I've even seen it in my own relationships before, talking about, man, accountability. Man, that's such a turn on.
For me, it's kind of like a Nickelodeon cartoon, Ren and Stimpy.
Oh my goodness.
Where you see this, somebody kicks this door in. This is me.
Yeah.
I kick the door in. And it shows this light coming behind me, and I'm steaming, and I come in and I say what I say I'm upset about, and the person says, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry. Now I've come in 1 out of 10, I'm on 26. And they said, you know what?
You're ready not only for the smoke, you're ready to deliver all of it.
Right. I don't have enough money to throw stuff around and break it, but I would like to do that.
Yeah.
You want to do some furniture movement. I'm on 4,000. And they say, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry about that. And then they just dropped the mic on me like, where are you going to go from there?
Yep.
I was like, yeah, well, I was going to come in here and I was looking for, I was going to drop some IEDs. I was going to have my drone fly over and drop something on your car. I was going to, I had all this smoke and they're like, man. And you can see in their face that it starts to click. They're like, yeah. I see why you had a problem with that. I see where I was wrong with that. And they say very simply, yeah, man, my bad. Not my bad. They say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I said, I'm sorry about that. And so now I'm sitting there breathing,
And now
Like,
your chest is as
you know what I'm saying?
like
I'm an Incredible Hulk, right? And it's like,
deflated.
and I turn back, and I'm like, all right, I'm not a superhero anymore.
Bruce Banner now.
Yeah, and so and those are teaching moments, and I just sit there and say, boy, man, you got some growing up to do. I mean, I'm a man in the mirror kind of guy. Boy, you got some growing up to do.
Going to make a change for once in your life.
And listen, that rage and all that ain't healthy. And I will say, more than COVID-19, that's the pandemic. People run around here, they close their door in their house,
boy,
and they show out. And I'm telling you, that's not a good thing.
Nah.
But anyway, back on topic, man. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's accountability that's hot stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
So y'all get you some of that.
Get you some of that accountability.
Amazon, wherever they sell it.
Wherever they sell it. Man, get you some of that accountability. Might be able to go to Costco and get it bulk.
You know what I'm saying? Pay the tariff, man, and get it. I mean, I know it's tough out here right now.
Pay the tariff.
So I know it's tough out here. It's tough out here. Pay it, man. Free shipping on accountability.
Canada, we love you.
We do, man. We're sorry.
I don't care what's going on politically. Canada, you still my neighbor. You can borrow a cup of brown sugar anytime you want.
Coming through, was it Detroit to Windsor? Like, look, let your boy come through, man. It's not us. It's not us. We're not the guys. It's somebody else. It's somebody else. We don't know why they're picking on y'all. We rock with y'all. Man.
We rock with y'all.
Yeah, man.
Fully. Let me get a cup of that maple.
Hey, can we? Hey,
that maple though. Woo.
We get up to that. What's that rodeo? The Stampede Rodeo. What's that rodeo they got? They got like the biggest rodeo in them.
Really?
Yeah. I thought Texas had the biggest ones. They have.
I thought it was either between Texas and Montana.
Calgary, something. Montana got a big one. I heard.
Yeah.
But I think that one in Canada is the one.
In Calgary?
I think it's in Calgary. I have to look it up, man. My buddy was telling me about it. He went up there. He played pro football up there. He said, man, I went to that. He's like, man, I was talking big cheese because he's from Texas.
Yeah.
They got us.
Speaking of Canada, shout out to my girl Bree on Instagram. Bree Lifts, this girl here. We're probably going to be getting her on one day to discuss about fitness and working out and things of that nature. She is big time. She's doing her little thing out there right now. And man, when you see the progression that she's made, man, it's dope. It's dope. But yeah, shout out to Bree. We're going to get her on here one of these days for the podcast.
Man. Yeah.
All right. That's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in. Big Chris, Big Circle. Appreciate you dropping by like always, man. It's always good seeing you tap in.
It's a blessing, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Be sure to listen to Okay, So Hear Me Out. This episode will be dropping soon on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and also on YouTube. So until again, peace, love, prayers, and as always, make a great day.
Love y'all, man.